Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So it's been a few weeks, about a month since we've done a reloading video. Just been super busy, but I thought we'd get back into the RCBS Rock Chucker Supreme. Today we're going to change the press over. We're going to do some sizing. I'm going to discuss a couple different methods about going about this on the single stage press. We're going to be using our Mojo Precision 9mm brass. Again, reach out to mojoprecision.com. This is 9mm. It's all cleaned. It's not decapped. It's still primed, but it's very clean. We're going to go ahead. We've already, in the previous video, we decapped a bunch of brass. So now we're going to work on some sizing. So again, we're going to be using our Mojo Precision brass and our RCBS Rock Chucker Supreme. So let's jump into it. All right, let's jump into some sizing. Just like in the last video, we were doing decapping, so we're decapping a bunch of brass. So what I'm going to do is we're going to get this set up with our sizing die. So again, this was our Lee universal decapping die. And for the money, you just can't beat Lee. And we're going to use, we do have some RCBS dies. These are for a different project, 38 Super. But in the spirit of doing this as budget friendly as possible, I picked up a set, or actually I had these, some Lee Precision 9mm dies for 9mm Luger. These are a 4-piece die set. So you're going to get a carbide factory crimp die, which I think is one of their best dies ever made. Bullet seat and feed die, depending on how you're going to set that up. Expanding die, carbide sizing die. So you're getting a four die set. It's also going to come with a shell holder and then a little powder scoop. We're not going to use a shell holder. We still have our number 16 in there from RCBS. So right now we're going to go ahead and get all of this decapping stuff off. And this is the only drawback with the RCBS setup is I'm sure I'm going to spill primers everywhere. Nope, we did it all right. So with that, I'm going to grab a towel here real quick. Because I just want to wipe everything down because we are going to be doing some sizing. Oops, didn't mean to bump you guys. Make sure our shell plate's good. And then we're going to talk about how we're going to set up this sizing die. Okay, so we're going to get our sizing die out here. And real quick, this isn't like a reloading series. We're going to talk about dies, compare dies, and so on and so forth. Every die manufacturer honestly makes pretty good dies. Some guys don't like these because they don't have like a hex style lock nut on it. They do have an O-ring. I don't seem to mind them too much. So what I'm going to do here is get the lock ring all the way to the top. And then I'm going to thread it down a couple threads. Now here is where we're going to get in some controversy. So make sure you have your shell holder in place like we do. Now there are some guys that believe just bring it all the way to the top and let's thread that die down till it touches and then lock it down. And that's fine. I am of the belief, my preference is I like to do what we call a cam over or an over travel. So what I'm going to do, and the reason I do this, sizing and reloading is all about cadence and about consistency and not having a positive stop. For me, I like to have the cam over. So I'm going to thread this die down till it touches. I'm going to drop my ram a little bit, give it about a quarter turn so I can feel it engage, and then I can feel it lock into place. So as I'm sizing, I'm getting that positive engagement every time, and I feel like I'm more consistent that way. So I'm going to just back it off a little bit. That feels really good to me. So with it locked into place, I've also got my die seated in the threads down there. So we're not going to get any additional movement. And I'm not going to wrench this down. Just going to do it hand tight just like that. And that feels good to me. So we're going to roll with that. All right, so our Lee kit, we have a carbide sizing die. And a lot of people are of the opinion you don't need to lube if you're using a carbide sizing die. You don't have to, but When I talk about consistency and cadence, it's all about ease of use to me. So I am a fan of doing lube in any of the sizing. Now we could use this case lube. In my opinion, it's a little overkill. So we're going to bring a little bit of controversy to the equation. We're going to use some old Hornady one-shot lube. And this is my secret way of doing it. Now, if you check some of my old videos, I've got some homebrew case lube that I like to make. But for this video, we're going to resort to using an off-the-shelf product. So what I do is I'm just going to grab some brass. And what I like to do, just make sure that they're all kind of laying on their side. We'll get our case lube out. And we're just going to give it a generous shot. Give it a shake. And we're going to call that good. Let that sit for a minute or so. So they're not damp and collecting dust. And then we'll work on our sizing. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do some sizing here. I've got my case block out here because I'm doing groups of 50, consistency, cadence, everything here. So we got our number 16 shell plate. Go ahead and insert our brass. And we're just going to give it a consistent pull. We felt the cam over and then remove it from the die. So there we go. And for a little bit of double checking, I picked up a case gauge. Now, typically this isn't a brand I use, but with the spirit of doing this economically, this is a Lyman case gauge, and we're going to drop it in, make sure it fits flush, falls out smooth. Do not force it. So that's kind of my way of checking them. And I'm not going to check every one. You can. It's completely up to you. I might check, one of 5 or so. But we're going to go ahead and get all of these sized. Now, one thing, I don't care. I know Mojo Precision does a great job of sorting brass. And every once in a while, you're going to get that weird 9x21 or maybe even a 380 auto. And that's why when I'm doing, especially on a single stage, I like using the case block. It's just easier to inspect everything. You can see we'll get this filled up. We'll do a little time lapse here and we'll get back with you guys. All right, so we've got 50 cases all sized. And right now I'm just kind of doing a quick little inspection, making sure that all the primers are out. You can see those very easily in here. I've got plenty of lighting in here, but if you want to use a flashlight or something, you could do that. Then I'm just looking for any, there's some cases that have like a lip on the inside. I'm looking for any of those because they're not really reloader friendly. So I'm just checking for those now. And then I've spot checked several with the case gauge. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead. These are ready to be primed. And the way we're going to do this, we're going to size, prime, and then we'll end up expanding, placing bullets and putting powder and all that. For right now, we're going to do some priming. That'll be in the next video. So be on the lookout for it. All right, guys, that's going to wrap this video up. We are done. We've sized all of these 50 cases here using our Rock Chucker Supreme, our Lee sizing die, and the brass from Mojo Precision. We thank them very much. If you guys want to support the channel, check out the guys that support us, Inline Fabrication, RCBS, Mojo Precision. Become a channel member. If you don't want to spend any money, subscribe, share these videos. Helps us out tremendously, and we appreciate it very much. But that's going to wrap this one up. The next video, we're going to talk about priming. So we are going to do 2 different ways here. We're going to prime on the press and use the RCBS hand priming tool. So you don't want to miss that video, so you want to subscribe. But until next time, guys, that's going to wrap this one up, and God bless.